Yo, is that working? Is that working? Yes. Perfect. So today's video is going to start a bit different, guys. Today's video is going to start with a warning. This isn't a DIY, This isn't a how-to, This is just me doing something that I shouldn't do, but I need to do. What am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about welding seat posts and converting a Mark III seat base to a Mark II seat base. I am aware of the dangers of doing such a modification, and this is a disclaimer stating so. So please don't do as I do. Take it into your, take it with a pinch of salt, the information that I'm going to give you guys for this video. But sit down, enjoy the video, and also enjoy me actually driving Project Freebie and giving it some on a nice crisp Sunday morning. Yeah, boy. Wow, the grip, even with these little tires on it, that diff really does hook up. So that's enough of the fun and games, guys. Now let's move over to the workshop and let's do part one of the interior upgrades for Project Freebie. But let's get back on track with today's video. And today's video is going to be part one of the interior. Now, if you guys have seen the last video, I did like a how-to DIY on actually fitting the rear screen, because I had originally, the car came with like a stuck-on GTI spoiler, and I was going a bit quick and the spoiler actually flew off. Luckily it didn't hit another car, I just kept on going. But yeah, so that was not a good look. So like I said, this is going to be part one of the interior and little upgrades that I'm going to be doing to it. You're going to see the cloth today, they're behind you guys, they're on the floor. I was I was having a conversation with my friend Nelson about seat patterns, and I showed him a picture of these seat patterns that I really, really liked. And I don't think we got many of these seat patterns in the UK. Maybe we did. I didn't really see them, but I'd seen them, in pictures and on the internet from cars abroad, and it's a pattern I really liked. And because this is a non-GTI car, I didn't really want to imitate it with like a rainbow interior or some other kind of GTI-ish material. I wanted something that was potentially, I think in Europe you had the GT, or you had some models that came with this interior. I mean, you guys might actually know more in the comments, you guys that are from Europe, and you got the more models and specs than we had in the UK. But going back to these seats, I showed him pictures of it. He said he actually had a rear bench. I couldn't believe it. And the rear bench he actually has is a 60-40 split, which again is a win. So let me turn the camera around so you guys can actually see what I'm talking about. So it's down to personal taste, right, guys? And for me, it's a pattern I haven't really seen much of or any of it in the UK before, and I really quite like it. And because it's a non-GTI car, it doesn't have to be always a dark interior. I think something a bit lighter could actually make a change. I've always had dark interiors, dark headlining, black carpets, and always GTI models are always quite dark on the inside. But I think this pattern, is going to work quite well. I'm actually also debating if I should put in a grey carpet, because I actually do have a set of grey carpets to go in, but maybe not, let's see. I'll leave that till the interior's in, and maybe that's something I can do at a later stage. It's not a big thing. So yeah, I can't wait to see this pattern on a set of Recaros. Now I've managed to find this middle pattern actually from Works 34 in Germany, but I'm not able to find this actually, the side trim. They have something similar on Works 34. I've looked at a few other sites, but nobody actually has it. So I don't want to get something that looks similar. For me, it's either has to be the same or nothing at all. Similar just looks wrong, I think. Okay, even though they're on the front seats and the back seats, you might not tell the difference, but for me, it'll be a little bit of a bugbear. Now, because ultimately this car is going to be, for me, it's a nice driver's car. When I go out and drive it on a Sunday and give it some, you know, I've set up the suspension in such a way, you know, with the rear anti-roll bar and all the bits and pieces on it, it's going to be nice. Got the LSD in it, the diff, the limited slip diff in it. And I will get a set of, like, you know, proper slick tyres or semi-slick tyres for it as well. So I'm going to need a seat that's going to hold me in place. Like I said, I've got a set of Recaros from the Mark III Golf, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually probably going to put Alcantara on the bolsters. Yes, they do wear a lot more. It's a car I'm not going to be using it a great deal, but the benefit of going Alcantara is that it does grip you. That's just that little bit more. It holds you in place much more than leather would. The material also holds you in, but like I said, if the material's not the same and it's similar, it's going to bug me, I think, that it's not exactly the same. So like I said, I'm probably going to be going Alcantara pattern and then do the vinyl exactly imitating the original seats, but without the piping. I'm not a fan of this piping. So what I'm going to do is get the front seats trimmed, like I said, in that way, and then once that's done, I'll get these rear benches done in the same. So along here will be Alcantara, and I'll get the trimmer to actually remove the piping on the rear seats, because I think it looks a bit more modern without the piping. I'm not a fan of that. All right, so let's remove the rear bench, standard rear bench, remove the boot carpet, because I'm going to get that trimmed and actually fit these ones in there, and let's see how much brighter and how much nicer I think these seats are going to look over what's in the car at the moment. I'm quite comfortable here. I don't feel like getting up, but I need to make a video, so let's get to it. Might as well pull the seat belts out as well. And then at the front now, you've got these two little trim bits there. So it's pretty straightforward. So to go with the interior upgrade, I'm actually going to get this trimmed. I think I'm going to trim this in carpet so it looks a bit more presentable. I've tried to find a good one, but they're really quite hard to find, it seems. Obviously, cars at 30 years old with a good boot mat. So yeah, I'm just going to actually get this one retrimmed. So let's just remove this. I'm really happy how the carpet got done. Actually sewed it up as well so it doesn't, stuck it down and then ran the sewing machine around the edge of it, and like I said, it looks a lot nicer, especially with the carpeted sides and that now. And also underneath the seat looks a lot tidier with that, like that. Looks really quite nice. Now with the 60/40 split, got this little bit of trim here which you need to remove like so, because then there's actually another, yeah, you've got an extra 2 screw holes, one there and one there to hold the seats in place. So I'm going to need to source another 2 of these screws. So that literally took all of 2 minutes to find the extra 2 screws. I suppose it's a good thing when you're messing around with V-dubs all the time. All right, let me get the bigger side in first, the 60 split, and then fit in the 40 split. One thing that is actually missing off the new seats is it doesn't have the pull for it. Luckily I actually ordered these ones not too long ago, because they definitely, so it's quite easy really, just literally just slide it off there and job done. Obviously I would say this, but I think they look really cool. I can't wait to get the front ones done. Let's put in the other side. So I'm happy to see the back of this rear bench. As you can see, I gave this a good clean. If you watched one of the first videos on Project Freebie, the amount of dirt that came off these seats was absolutely disgusting. But as you can see, there's always been that stain there. Even though it was in the car, you couldn't really notice it because it was dark, but now that it's actually out, you can see that. So yeah, can't wait to throw that away. And now we're going to move on to the steering wheel. Let me just grab the original wheel that was on there. So this is like a non-power steering wheel. And that's a power steering wheel. So in the UK anyway, the later cars, big bumper cars as we call them, came with power steering, the 16 valves and some of the GTIs. But anyway, the power steering cars came with this smaller wheel. And the difference is basically this is 380mm and that's 370mm, as well as you can see the different design here. These kind of come straight, whereas these have got like this kind of circle pattern. Now, why this one looks a little bit different is because the horn push is actually off a Passat, I think it is, or this is what I had in stock. I actually do have the horn push with the lines, but what I've done is I've actually given it to someone who's actually going to do a little trick here. They're actually going to remove the VW off the one with the lines to stick on a 16 valve badge, because I want a 16 valve badge. It's a 16 valve right off the roll. So I should have that back pretty soon. So yeah, that's kind of the steering wheel situation. I mean, it was quite unanimous, you know, 69% or even 70% to 30% wanted the steering wheel, that one instead of this one. So that's what I went with, guys. You guys picked, and that's what I went with. I also found the Passat B3 heated seat switches, and I've actually found the Mark II loom to go with that. The actual plug's exactly the same as the Mark III actually. They're all pretty much the same, apart from the Mark III ones. Obviously the plugs are slightly different that go on the fuse box, but apart from that it's all plug and play, it's all the same. So I've actually got that loom and I've got that there, but I won't fit the loom one until I actually do the seats. And what we're gonna do now is gonna move over and I'm gonna take you guys to the trimmer so you guys can see the seats, and we're gonna dismantle the seats down and actually get the bases back from him, so then I can bring the bases back here, so that then we can actually cut the leg, shrink it, what needs to be done, so you can fit the base of the Mark III into the Mark II. So all right, so let's go over now. Right guys, so I'm back from the trimmers. He wouldn't let me film there, he wasn't comfortable, so I've brought the bases back, and as you guys can see, they're in a pretty bad way, pretty rusty. This is actually a UK driver's or European passenger side. Maybe because out of convertibles tend to get wet a little, so yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to treat this. The other side's actually not too bad. Let me grab that. As you can see, so that's gonna be my driver's side, which is in a lot better condition. So yeah, but that's all treatable. Get a nice wire wheel on that, clean that off. One thing I did bring back with me were the sponges as well, some of them, or just the side ones, these base side ones, and I'll show you why. But basically it took him maybe all of 5 minutes to do this, strip this down. I'm gonna put a few photos up here so you guys can see. While you're looking at those, let me grab the sponges, these side ones. Now, this is a UK passenger, gonna be my driver's side sponges. As a European car, as you can see, they're not too bad, but they're actually, there's a difference between the outer edge and the inner edge, right? But wait till you see, and that's all sweat and dirt. Look at this, that's disgusting. So I'm just gonna put this, and the sponge is actually kind of worn there a little bit. He says you can repair this quite easily because it's still got its main structure, which is the outside. So yeah, I'm gonna have to put this in water, with some warm water, sorry, in a bucket with warm water and some soap, and actually let that soak. And I'm probably gonna do all of the sponges. You'd be surprised actually how a lot of trimmers don't actually tend to clean the sponges, which is not a very good look. So yeah, I'm gonna definitely clean all of these sponges because I want the car to be smell nice and fresh at least. Enough of that, let's move on. I'm gonna remove now the front seat on the driver's side. Right, so start off with the driver's side one, get the tape measure out if I can find it. Here we go. And now the magic number we're looking for, 54 centimeters, which is 540mm on the button. Now let's get the standard Mark II one on the bench. And now we're gonna do the same. Measure from there to there. And as you can see, that is 48 centimeters, which is 480. So we've got a difference of 60. If you didn't know, now you know. The orientation between this center runner and the inner leg on the Mark II, the Mark III, the Polo 6N and 6N2, the Say Ibiza 6K, 6K2 has the same distance between this and the inner leg. So that's what you need to kind of shorten. So you can actually use, like I said, out of all those cars that I've just mentioned, Golf Mark III, Passat B3 and B4, Polo 6N, 6N2, and Ibiza 6K and 6K2, as well as I think the Lupo as well. All right, so let's start cutting and welding. So I've made this little jig, made a 6mm hole, botted it onto where the seat holder goes, and as it so works out, it's literally, if you look at it, it's square, it's 480. So we've worked out the distance, and now I need to get the height right of it. So I'm gonna have to trim actually a little bit here so I can get it up a little bit higher so that I can get the height of it right. That's quite important. So I've trimmed it slightly so it clears the leg, so I got the height right. And with my square edge, I've worked out the actual height of where it needs to go, which is that line. So now I actually have the two distances which I need, which is the distance between here and the other leg, and then the height as well, which is important because you don't, like I said, you don't want the seat to be uneven. So that's where this edge here needs to be in line with that there going across. I've actually just drawn another line around it actually so to get the angle right, so that's where it needs to be sitting. That edge there needs to be in line with that line there. So I've got my little G-clamp and it's on, and I've put a spot of weld there. So now I'm just going to remove it all and actually do a little test fit and make sure it's all where it should be. So there you go, it fits. So it's pretty cool and it runs smoothly backwards and forwards. Okay, so now I'm just gonna weld it all around there and put some extra support bridging on it so make sure it doesn't snap. So I've put some zinc primer on it all the way through. Let this one dry and just show you what I've done with it there. So you can see I've welded it up and then I've added a thick bit of angle iron onto it to actually support it. And I was able to weld it all the way through because of the holes as well. I was actually able to get into the top bit as well. And they're going to do the same again with the same jig. It actually works the other way around a little bit better because it actually clears that. It's the same distance from there to there at 480mm. And the only thing you've had to do really is, as you can see, that's one line for that side and that line's for the other side. So that's the orientation line. So again, just going to literally just repeat the process, cut it off and do it. So there you go, all painted up. Okay, so all wide brushed down and primered and painted, and they're looking good. Looking good. So that's stage one done. Now I'm going to just take these back to the trimmers to get the rest of the sponges. Also, let's see how these sponges are actually doing. I mean, wow, look how dirty the water is. That's disgusting. All right, guys, I'm going to leave these for another video for part 2 when actually putting the seats together with the cloth and the materials that I've chosen on the bolsters. I think Alcantara, but I might change my mind. You'll have to wait and see, guys. All right, guys, so hopefully next week we'll be at the Rolling Road, hopefully. Unfortunately, like I said, DD Motorsports had a few issues, so I haven't been able to go, and he's been booked as well. So I'm hoping to have the car on the rollers, get some figures down, and mess around with some cam timing. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Be safe.